and welcome to RCKicks. On today's show we are building the Clod Buster. My electronic speed controller 880 from Hobbywing has arrived, as well as my full set of bearings. So there's no reason why we can't build the chassis, so that's exactly what we're going to do. Now I need to lay out everything so we can kick it off in an orderly fashion, but I'm not going to make you sit through that. We're going to use the magic of YouTube and jump straight to that. Ow, that was loud. Well, it worked anyway, so that's great. Right, the first thing it's asking us to do on page 4 is to put the servo horn on. Now, the servos that I'm going to use today are these 25 kg Banggood Specials, which are DS3225s. Now, these are cheap and cheerful, but I normally put them in most of my cars because they're stronger than what you need in vintage and things like that. They're also waterproof and they're very low cost. Now, I don't know when you're pushing this kind of tyre, the amount of resistance and leverage on them, how well these are going to perform, but it'd be a good test because I haven't actually had any of these fail on me. So we're going to build the car completely stock first, then we're going to do a review, a running test and see what we think, and then I'm going to start piling on the mods, and then we're going to take it as far as I can with the mods just to see how good you can make this car. Truck, tank, monster truck. There we go, it's one of those. Right, let's go and put the servo horn on the servo on page 4 and page 5. I've just finished page 6, number 7. I put the servo in. One thing that was very strange is it asks you to put stickers on right from the beginning. On page 6, number 5, it asks you to put this sticker on, the one at the front and the one at the back. I'm guessing later on access to these must be difficult. So I went with it and did what they told me to do. One thing you'll definitely need to do is you'll have to true up your servo before you fit it, because there is no way to adjust the servo horn once you fit it, not unless you drill a hole through there so that you can get access. But I guess you wouldn't want to do that. You can just undo the 3 bolts and take it out. But so I've hooked up all the electronics, trued up the central location for that servo, and then carry on. So now from here we have to move on to page 7, which is number 8, which looks something to do with the battery pods by the look of it. No problems at all from that point of view. Very simple, just a big tub really. Right, let's carry on. So I've finished the 2 gearboxes, nothing special there, apart from if you noticed in the video that's just been played, I actually put the drive shafts in the wrong way round and they're held with big split pins. So fitting split pins is a bit of a pain in the backside, but what's worse, having to undo them to do them again. Yes, that's right. So no idea why I put them in the wrong way round. It was very clear in the manual. It wasn't like, oh, I didn't really realise. I don't know whether I wasn't paying attention and I just put them in the wrong way around. So I had to go back and change all of them again. So apart from that, which was my own fault, nothing to do with the manual or anything, so I wouldn't advise to watch out for that because I don't think anyone else is going to make the mistake. I guess I was too busy thinking about something else. What else did I have that was any problems? That was pretty much it. Okay, so next we got to move on to page 10, number 17. So we're now doing the arms from that point of view. Right, let's keep going. Gearboxes are now completely finished. I've now done the hubs, the front and rear hubs. They are separate. There's two different versions of them. So you have two that are like this design, and then you have two that have like an additional ball on the top. No issues with these. You still got split pins, which are a bit of a pain, but not that much of an issue at all. Obviously you've got to fit bearings on both sides. There's quite a few bearings in this kit, so it's definitely worth recommending going to full metal bearings on these. Don't stick with the plastic ones, they're awful. Right, I've just done the rods for the steering, which finishes page 11, number 22. So I've just got to do the little steering parts, which is BH3 and B2, and then we can move on to where it becomes more fun, where we're actually connecting up the steering. So let's carry on with that. Right, we finally finished the gearboxes. Both front and back are completely done. The steering's in, the bumpers are on, and that takes us to page 13, number 26. Next, the fun bit. Finally, we get to mount these into the chassis. So far, build's pretty straightforward, to be fair. The only thing that I found from a negative point of view is you're basically doing everything twice. These are identical apart from the steering arms pointing in slightly different directions. Apart from that, there is no difference whatsoever. Right, let's get them in the chassis, and then we're getting close to be able to put the wheels on and get the suspension in, and it should be starting to look like a massive monster truck finally. So the chassis is taking shape, it's starting to look like a truck. I've now got the front and rear on and everything's connected up, all the steering's connected up. I didn't realise there was only a single servo in the middle driving both sides. So I can see that's going to put a lot of strain on this car. One servo trying to move that many wheels. So I'm definitely going to do an upgrade where it's a servo on each axle. So that will definitely come in a future. I can see quite a lot of potential upgrade possibilities for this truck, which is really interesting because I'm going to take this one as far as I can. So we're really going to push the boat out. We're going to do some smaller upgrades, and then eventually we're going to change the whole chassis to whether it's going to be metal or carbon or something funky like that. So yeah, we're really going to see what this is capable of. Right, I've done all the suspension off camera because it's dry suspension and it's boring as hay, and obviously there's twice as many of them. It doesn't take very long. One that I have found very strange is the rubber section that it asks you to put in. It gives you a size. It means that you don't have much travel. There's only that much, even though the suspension is very long. So I'm not sure whether I can cut this down to add more suspension in. I'll see what the clearance is like. I'm guessing that's why it's like that, because the clearance for the wheels when they're turning and things like that, that if you go shorter, it will depress further and then they will collide with the body. Right, next I've got to connect these up, and then we're getting very close to putting the electronics in. Well, that's the chassis build finished. And what did I think? Well, pretty straightforward. There's nothing super complicated in any of that, and it's quite fun. Once you start bolting the wheels on, you realise how crazy this truck is. Basically, it's like a driving bathtub. This is the best way to look at this chassis. Putting the electronics in, plenty of room, super easy, nothing difficult whatsoever on that front. You're not exactly fighting for space inside this massive, great big chassis. Now, it's all fully working. We'll fire it up. I've trimmed it up and I've actually taken it for a test drive, which is why you can tell by the tyres. So it's all working. So next we're going to take it out for an early experimental run. So let's go out the studio now and blast it around the garden for a bit, and then we'll be right back. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the early drive of the car before I built the body, but I wanted to take it out and see what it was like in its basic form. One thing I found is that the steering, it works when it's off the ground like this, but the minute you put any loading on it, it just can't. There's enough movement inside itself that you end up flexing more of the actual steering than turning the wheels. As I lift the weight off, they start to work, you see. So one of the first upgrades that's definitely required is to have the servo on the axles. Obviously, you're doubling up the servo power and you're shortening the lengths of the joints between the servo and the steering. Otherwise, you've just got to turn while you're moving. That's the only way to do it in its stock form. So that will be coming soon. Apart from that, I enjoyed it. It bumbles around and it behaves better than I thought it would. Now, will I lock down the rear steering? I don't know. I didn't find it actually wandered too much. I got it to go reasonably straight. Now, it's not crazy fast and I haven't put any upgraded motors in it yet, so whether that becomes a problem as I make the machine more powerful so it's traveling in a straight line faster, I honestly don't know. Thanks very much. See you on the next one. The Super Clod Buster. It's massive. Check out one of these RC Kicks videos for some more RC fun.